All right, y'all, video number 2, quiz corrections. Hopefully the notes have helped clarify some of this, but just a few things here. The first is, what is the solution to a quadratic equation? There's quite a few answers you could put here. X-intercepts is one. Roots is another one. We also call them zeros, but it is essentially where the function touches or crosses the x-axis. So we're looking for where the function touches or crosses the x-axis. Now, if that's our definition of roots or solutions, we can use graphs to help us see where those are. On this first one, I see 2 x-intercepts here, one here and one here, or 2 places where the function touches or crosses the x-axis. So that means I have 2 real solutions. On this second one, because my function is above the x-axis, there's nowhere where this function touches or crosses the x-axis, so there are no real solutions. There are no x-intercepts, so there are no real solutions. And then finally, this function, I have one place where this function touches the x-axis, so that means I have one real solution. So moving on from our definitions, we're going to look at our quadratic formula. It says find the solutions to the quadratic equation. To find those solutions, I can use my quadratic formula, which is up here. So I'm going to start by labeling. I'm going to zoom this out a little because we need the formula at the top there, don't we? Okay, I'm going to start by labeling my A, B, and C values. 2 is A, 3 or negative 3 is B, and 5 is C. Negative 5, excuse me, because there's a negative in front here. Now I'm going to find the value of my discriminant first. Remember, the discriminant is just that piece of the quadratic formula that is under the square roots, this piece right here, but it is b squared minus 4ac. So I'm going to find that first. So I'm going to take b squared, so that's negative 3, make sure you put that in parentheses, squared, minus 4 times our a value of 2 times my c value of negative 5. So I'm going to pop that right into my calculator, and I'm going to do negative 3 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 5. And that's going to end me up with, can't see my calculator, can you? But that ends up with 49. So I know that the value of my discriminant is 49. Okay? Reminder, if my discriminant is positive, it means I have 2 real solutions. Okay, so from here, I'm just going to plug this into the rest of my quadratic formula, and I'm going to zoom in a little here just so you can hopefully see this a little better. The rest of my quadratic formula looks like this: negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, my discriminant, which I've already found, all over 2a. So now I'm just going to plug in the rest of my values to quadratic formula. Here I have negative 3 that I'm plugging in for a negative b. So this becomes a negative 3 plus or minus the square root of the discriminant, which we found earlier is 49. All of that over 2 times a, which is 2. From here, I am just going to simplify. Reminder, I have an answer that is adding to the discriminant and an answer that is subtracting from the discriminant. So I've got plus here. That means one answer is going to look like negative 3 makes that a positive 3, plus the square root of 49 over 2 times 2 is 4. And then a negative answer that is 3 minus the square root of 49, all of that over 4. And from there, I can plug both of those into my calculator. Make sure you're using control and the division sign to set up that fraction bar. So my positive answer ends up being 5 over 2. So my positive answer simplified is 5 over 2. My negative answer simplified is going to be negative 1. So notice the only thing I changed between these two is that addition or subtraction sign. Okay, a few more questions left. We're going to flip to the back here. Another quadratic equation one. This says find the x-intercepts. Reminder, x-intercepts is the same as solutions, so we are still using our quadratic formula here. I'm going to label my a, b, and c values. A is 2. B is -7, C is -3. So I'm just going to plug those in to find the value of my discriminant first. So that's going to be -7 squared minus 4 times 2 times -3. That's the value of my discriminant. So I'm going to do -7 squared minus 4 times 2 times -3. That's going to get me 73. So I know that there will be two real solutions because my discriminant is positive. Okay, from there, I'm just going to plug back into the rest of the quadratic formula. I'm going to have -7 plus or minus the square root of my discriminant, which is 73. All of that over 2 times my a value of 2. And from here, I just simplify. I have my positive value. -7 makes that a +7 plus the square root of 73 over 4. And here my negative value, that's going to give me minus the square root of 73 over 4. And those are actually going to be my two answers. I could pop those into my calculator to get a decimal, but I'm just going to leave them like this for now. Okay, this last one just says find the value of the discriminant. Remember, again, the discriminant is the piece of the quadratic equation that is under the square root. So my discriminant here is b squared minus 4ac. So I'm going to label my a, b, and c values. A is equal to 4, b is equal to 8, and c is equal to +3. From there, I'm just going to plug those into my discriminant. So I've got 8 squared minus 4 times 4 times 3. I'm going to pop that into my calculator. That's going to give me 8 squared minus 4 times 4 times 3. And that gives me +16. Okay, because this answer is positive, it says based on the discriminant, how many roots does the equation have, and how do you know? I know there are 2 real solutions because the discriminant is positive. So there are 2 real solutions because the discriminant is positive. Okay, and that is the end of the quiz corrections. Once you are finished with these, make sure you move on to the correct stations worksheet. And that's all I got. Yeah, thanks.